Y'all, it is that time of year where I will be ranking every single palette that I tried this year in 2025 from my least favorite to my absolute most favorite. So grab a snack, grab a drink, because it's about to be a long one. Alrighty guys, so I pretty much have close to 100 palettes sitting in front of me. That's a lot. That's a lot of palettes that I had tried this year. I don't know how it happened, but yeah, somehow it did. So I'm gonna be ranking all the palettes I tried this year from my least favorite to my absolute most favorite. Now, just because some of these palettes may be lower on the list does not mean that they're not good palettes. It just means that I do prefer other palettes over them, and I'll give you reasons why I rank them where I rank them. But before we dive into that, I do have some honorable mentions who will not be mentioned in today's video because I simply did not have time to play with them before I did my ranking. So the first one we have, it's going to be from Earthy. They just launched their brand new Dead Cute collection. I have not had time to play with this, but this is the palette right here. It is absolutely beautiful. It is available right now if you guys do want to check it out. I'm really excited to play with this. I really do love Unearthly's formula, and I think this palette is so freaking cute. I definitely want to play with this. So even though it's not going to be featured in today's video, it will be featured in my 2026 ranking. Another honorable mention is the Merry Chrissy Miss palette from Glamlite. Now, I actually just got this in the mail yesterday, so I did not have time to rank this in my Christmas ranking and or my palette ranking. But I will say I'm super excited to show you guys this color story. It's absolutely beautiful. I do love a really good Christmas palette. That is what this palette is right here. Now, you guys actually can pick this up if you guys wish to do so. You can use my code Allie, save you guys 10% off. I think this actually does ship from the US warehouse as well, so you can save on shipping and whatnot. But I will say this is a really beautiful Aussie Christmas palette. Like this shade right here, it like on camera is coming off green, but like I also see it as purple and blue. It's so beautiful. I cannot wait to play with this palette. It's absolutely stunning. So again, I'm so sorry I did not get a chance to review this. I just got it pretty late in the mail, but I'm so excited for it. And so you guys will see this again in my 2026 ranking. Another palette that I was not able to get to in time is actually going to be from Question Beauty. This is going to be the Volume 3 palette. Now this is going to be the Ocean palette right here. This is so beautiful. I cannot wait to play with. Oh my God, did something just fall in my lap? Ah, half that shade fell. I knew that something broke when I got this, but yeah, this shade broke. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I'll try to salvage what I can, but I really do love the formula. It's just pressed so finely in there that it does can break. And when I first got this, it was actually broken. I had to press it back together, and it seems I did not do the best job. So this is going to be Question Beauty Volume 3. I can't wait to play with it. And I need to clean up this mess. I was able to get some stuff back in it, but I could tell that this is a shade I have to be extremely careful with because it's still like I have to push it around. I'm missing some shade in here, so it's going to slip and slide. So I have to be very careful, but I will say the formula is incredible. I just, it broke. Another palette that's not going to be featured today is the new Gourmand Girls. It's going to be their final holiday palette. So mine is actually on its way to me right now. I currently do not have it. As soon as I do, I would definitely show you guys it like in a new makeup release video. But again, that will be featured in a 2026 ranking. And then the last palette that's not going to be featured in today's ranking but does deserve an honorable mention is actually what I'm wearing my eyes right now, and it's the new Bella Beauté bar. This is going to be the Crystal Lies palette right here, and it's actually been launching on December 5th. It does retail for $75. You guys can use code Allie, save you guys 10% off, and I think this is a really beautiful palette, but I just sat down and played with it. So I have not had time to truly play with it a lot, so that's why I'm not featuring it today, because I just tried it out for the first time. But it's what I'm wearing in my eyes right now. If you guys have not seen, I already posted a short on my YouTube channel, on my TikTok, and my Instagram. I already posted a short on how I created this look using this palette, so make sure you guys go follow me over there if you guys have not done so already. But this is a very beautiful palette. I'll say this is a beautiful winter palette, and I am obsessed with how my eyes turned out. So those are the 5 palettes that do deserve an honorable mention because, like I said, I did receive them in PR, but I just have not had time to truly play with them before we did our palette ranking. So they will all be featured in my 2026 ranking. But with that said, let's dive into this year's palette ranking. So I believe coming in at 97, we do have the Urban Decay Naked Shaped palette. Now this is going to be the cool tone palette. First off, the packaging feels so utterly cheap. Like it feels so damn cheap that like It's a joke, the price point that they charge for how cheap the packaging feels. And they open it up, the color story one is just so plain to me. Like, it's just so plain. And what's so ironic about this one is that when they first announced this, they were like, we're going to be coming out with new, innovative makeup, bright, colorful, bold, like things you guys have been asking for. And then they launched this. We're all like, is this what you call innovation? Like, it just made absolutely zero sense for what they had talked about versus what they launched. And I will say that normally I do enjoy a good naked palette. However, the formula on this was just so lackluster. The mattes didn't really have that many pigmentation, but the shimmers had nothing. Like, I had to physically dig my finger hard into there, try to get any sort of color payoff, and I really did not like that I had to work pretty hard for it. And just overall a very, very, very disappointing palette. So that is why at number 97, we do have the Urban Decay Naked Shaped Palette. At number 96, we have the Morphe. This is going to be the Forbidden Honey palette. Now, this is the first time Morphe ever sent me a PR package, and I was just like, oh, wow, okay, cool. I got so excited. And then I tried the palette, and I was just like, it's so lackluster. I don't know what it is, because their later palettes that they came out with later this year, I thought were actually pretty good. But this one just felt so lackluster. I don't know if this was like their previous formula or they just really kind of stepped it up. I don't know. But the shimmer, like this right here is supposed to be cool, like melted chrome. It gives nothing. Like, it literally gives nothing. I barely had pigmentation there. Like, I put my eyes, I just have to really work hard for it. And I don't have to work hard to get a palette to perform for me. This actually ranked, I think, number 50 in my midsummer ranking. I just was genuinely not impressed with the color story, with the packaging, with the palette, with the mattes, with the shimmer. It just was so lackluster, and it just felt like such 2016, 2017 makeup era, where this would have been amazing formula, but time has really evolved since then, and brands have really stepped up with their formulas. And for me, this was just very, very lackluster in my opinion. So that is why at number 96, we do have the Morphe Forbidden Honey palette. Coming in at number 95, we have the Morphe. This would be the Pulp Fantasy palette. Again, same exact thing. They came together in one collection, and I was so excited to try this out. And then I tried it, and I was just like, so lackluster. I don't know what it was. It's just so not exciting for me. And it just really was unfortunate, because I really wanted to enjoy this collection. I just felt like I really didn't, because I just was so disappointed by the palette. I know this one in particular, I got really excited about this green, and then I put it on and I was like, where is the pigmentation? Like, it showed up, but barely, and I really had to work for it. And I shouldn't have to work hard to get a palette to perform for me, and I feel like I really had to with this one. Just very lackluster, did not care for the color story, did not care for the formulas. So at number 95, we do have the Morphe Pulp Fiction palette. At number 94, we do have the YSL Clutch. Now, these are like $64, something like that, for this small little palette. Okay, it comes with 4 shades in here, and I will say that for $64, this needs to be a freaking miracle. And for me, it's not. Like, it's just really not. You have like one shimmer, but then like 3 cream to powder formula, the way it feels. It just was not the most wowing palette to work with. Like, the mattes, they don't feel super matte. They feel like almost like a semi-matte, or like a demi matte, or like a cream to powder matte. Like, they just don't have that true matte formula. And then the shimmer, it's so lackluster. And for this being a like $64 like freaking YSL palette, it needs to be forming miracles, and it's generally not. I would never spend my money on this. I did get sent this in PR, and I was just like, this was just so lackluster in my opinion. I love the packaging. I thought the packaging was beautiful, but everything else about the palette itself, like, I just don't gravitate to at all. I didn't care for how the formula performed. I didn't care for how my eye look turned out. It just was overall a very, very bad palette in my opinion. So that is why at number 94, we do have the YSL Clutch palette. Coming in at number 93, I love this brand so much. It's one of my favorite brands. So you guys know it says a lot if I put this pretty low on the list, but we have the Glamlite Holiday Sweets palette. Now, I got this last year in a mystery box, like the dessert theme mystery box. And this is one of those palettes that got honorably mentioned because I didn't get a chance to try it until later on. So I didn't get to feature in the 2025. So we featured it in today's video. And I will say, I thought this was going to be a beautiful palette, but one, the color story is just so disappointing for a Glamlite color story. Like, when you think of holiday sweets, like, I thought they were sure going to match the aesthetics of this, and they didn't. But then for me, it was the formula. The formula just feels like their older formula. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but they did used to have like 2 different areas they used to produce their formula, but Glamlite has a really old formula, and then they have like their newer updated formula. And this felt so much like their older formula, where the shimmers just don't feel like that creamy, buttery self that I'm usually used to. It felt a little bit more hard pan and just felt a little bit more gritty. And then the mattes, very underwhelming. Usually they're super pigmented and they blend like a dream, but these were very underwhelming. And the color story itself was just a very underwhelming color story for a Glamlite palette. Usually Glamlite is so on theme when it comes to their IPs and their licensed collections, even though this is not one of them, but just so on par with creating such the most aesthetically pleasing palettes to match something. And this was just so lackluster. It did not match any of the aesthetics from that collection, even the palette itself. And like I said, those shimmers, which I had high hopes for, they feel so gritty and they just don't have that same consistency and formula that I'm used to when it comes to a Glamlite palette. So that is why at number 93, we do have the Glamlite Holiday Sweets palette. Number 92, this is a brand that I really did love a lot, but this palette was just so underwhelming. And I just, when I got it, I was just like, that was it. Like, this is such an underwhelming palette for this brand, and it's the Lunar Beauty Night palette. Now this is going to be a two-part palette. So first off, we have the night one right here. The color story, it's so underwhelming. It is so boring, so basic, and I understand the concept that Manny was going for. He wanted to create a day palette and a night palette, but for me, he creates so much of the same palettes. Like, it's not even funny. Like, I like it when he branched out and did more colorful palettes or add more themes to it. This just felt like the exact same palette. Like, he created the day and night and they're like the exact same, just a little bit of shade variation. The shimmers in here are very, very lackluster. They almost feel like they're his like his first palette ever, where the formula just feels very different to how it feels now. The mattes didn't really have that much pigmentation to them, and when I did play with it had a little bit of fallout. And I don't know, I thought this was just so boring for Manny to create that I just was like, what is this? This is my least favorite Lunar Beauty palette ever. And I never declutter anything Lunar Beauty. Well, that's not true because I just decluttered my whole drawer. But palette-wise, I never did until this one. This is one of the first ones I did declutter because I was just very underwhelmed with how this palette performed, the color story, everything. So that is why at number 92, we do have the Lunar Beauty Night palette. So it should be no surprise that at number 91, we had a Lunar Beauty Day palette. Like I said, this is like the exact same thing, just a little bit more deeper version. Like, look at how lackluster this palette is. Like, this is so basic, it's so boring, and it's very similar to his like Moon Prism palette, or his like the one neutral one that I love a lot. It's very similar. Like, you created almost identical palette. Again, the shades in here are very, very similar to each other. You really can't tell too much apart. The mattes don't really have that much pigmentation to them. The shimmers are just so lackluster, so basic, so boring. And for a Lunar Beauty palette, I usually expect a bit more because Manny has created some really amazing palettes in the past. And when you look at this, you're like, what is this? Like, this is just not good. Not good. So at number 91, we do have the Lunar Beauty Day palette. Coming in at number 90, we actually do have Clarity Cosmetics. This is going to be the Bougie Bitch palette. First off, I think the outside packaging is super cute. But for me, it's the color story on the inside. One, I'm not a big fan whenever palettes are like this small pan-wise. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of it. I feel like there's too much space between the shades. My finger can barely dip in here. And I just feel like overall, the formula in here wasn't the best. Like, I have tried other palettes from Clarity, and that formula was so much better than the one that's in here. This one I just felt was very lackluster. I don't really care for the color story. There's maybe like 2 shimmers in here that I really would like. And you guys also know me. I'm not a big red pinky person. I usually don't ever gravitate toward those colors, and so this to me is one of the palette that I just generally will not gravitate to. I like I said, this one shade right here, but other than that, I really can't do too much with this palette in terms of looks. The mattes felt a little gritty compared to some of their other palettes. I was kind of like, okay. And then the shimmers, like I said, they were just very lackluster, kind of boring, kind of basic, and I don't know. I was not impressed with this palette at all. So that is why at number 90, we do have the Clarity Cosmetics Bougie palette. Coming in at number 89, this is the first time I've ever tried this brand, and I will say, I do want to keep trying this brand for sure, but this palette was just, it was fun. I liked the look I created, but it was still kind of underwhelming, and that's going to be Profusion's Web of Eyes palette. Now, this is supposed to be a really cute Halloween palette. One, I will say that like the mattes, for me, I will say the palette was very inconsistent. It was so inconsistent. Some shades performed great. Other shades, you're like, what is happening? Like, some of the shimmers in here perform beautifully, but other ones I'm digging in there so hard to try to get any sort of pigment on my finger to put on my eye. And I'm like, why is this so inconsistent? Why are some of the mattes patchy, but some of the other mattes are blending just great? Why are some of the mattes having fallout and other ones are not? Why are the shimmers super, super lackluster, but other ones have more pigmentation? They feel like butter. I didn't understand. It was a very, very confusing palette with how the formula performed, and I was just very much underwhelmed with that. I really like the rest of the collection, and I do want to try more stuff on this brand, but I don't like a palette that's inconsistent. And I even said in my review, this palette was very inconsistent with how it performed, and I was just kind of like, I don't like how some shades work and other shades don't. It was just not fun, in my opinion. I just feel like if you're going to create a palette, everything should be consistent, in my opinion, especially if you're going to be spending your hard-earned money on it. Granted, this is more affordable, but still, you should have a palette that performs equally, and I feel like this one did not. So that is why at number 89, we do have the Profusion Web of Eyes palette. Coming in at number 88, this was pretty low on my list at the beginning of the year, and it's still pretty low on my list now. We have the Natasha Denona Bloom palette. Y'all, this palette just was so lackluster. First off, when I think of Bloom, I think of spring. So I feel like this palette really could have done wonders by having pops of lavender and pops of like mint green, or even like, you know, pale yellows in here to do like blooms like flowers. It didn't do that. It really dropped the ball on that. But two, I just felt like the shimmers in here were not the normal Natasha Denona shimmers. I was kind of confused by that because their other palettes are absolutely amazing. I love the brand, but this one was just so underwhelming. I don't know what happened and why the shimmers just felt as lackluster as they did. They did not feel creamy and buttery. I had to work a little bit harder to get the shimmers to perform. I was just very underwhelmed with it. The color story is not wowing in my opinion at all. I bought it because I had FOMO. I literally bought it because I had FOMO. I told you guys in my review that I regretted buying it. Do I stand by that? I do. I absolutely do regret buying this because I know myself. This is a color story that I generally would never really gravitate to, but I had FOMO. I was like, I'm missing out. I have all the other palettes. I should get this. And it was a waste of my $70. So for me, this is just very underwhelming compared to her other palettes. And I just really was not a fan of it. So coming in at number 88, we do have the Natasha Denona Bloom palette. Coming number 87, I really do enjoy this brand's formula, but this palette just really didn't do it for me. And I feel so bad saying that because I was so excited to get my hands on this, but I was very underwhelmed, and it's going to be the Wicked Widow American Psycho palette. Now, I don't know why. The palette performed nicely. The shimmers performed really nicely. For me, I'm not, well, one, I've never seen American Psycho. So I said that in my review when I tried this out. I've never seen American Psycho. So I don't know any of the correlations, right? So I don't get whether or not this color story makes sense. But for me, as someone who hasn't seen the movie, I look at the palette, I'm just like, I don't really know what type of looks to do. I get kind of confused when I look at this palette going, what should I do? What type of look should I do? I get kind of confused. I don't really think it's the most aesthetically pleasing palette in my opinion. I just am not that attracted to the palette. I just don't think the palette's the prettiest in my opinion. The mattes worked fine. The shimmers worked fine, but I don't know, it was a very underwhelming palette for me. And as someone who reviews makeup for a living, for me, this was just a very underwhelming palette. I've enjoyed other palettes. I've enjoyed like the Graveyard Smash from this brand. I thought that palette was great, but this one, I don't know. I just am not a fan. I ended up decluttering it actually from my collection because I'm not a fan of the color story. The palette, the formula is okay. I don't get the concept. So overall, it's just definitely not one of my favorites. So that is why at number 87, we do have the American Psycho palette. Coming at number 86, I love this brand so much, but this palette just wasn't it for me. And it's the Blend Bunny plastic palettes. Now, I know that the brand was trying to branch out and do something a little different, and I'm always for them trying something different. Absolutely. But I just felt that this color story I don't know, it didn't hit the mark. I guess I should say I have a little bit more of higher expectations when it comes to Blend Bunny palettes because she creates really fun, innovative, very different palettes, like different from like other brands out there. They're really chaotic and they're messy, but they're beautiful all the same because they're so artistic. I didn't really get that with this. I just got like this being more like a basic one. Like this reminds me so much of the ColourPop like Malibu Barbie palette. And I just did not get that typical Blend Bunny feel when looking at this palette. The color story isn't the most wowing color story. I like that one pop of color. The formula wasn't the most amazing formula to me. And I just felt like out of all the Blend Bunny palettes, this one was the least appealing to me in my opinion. I didn't really get to explore it with this palette as much as I wanted to because I just don't really resonate with the color story at all, except for like I said, the pop of blue. It just reminded me too much of the ColourPop Malibu Barbie one, and I just feel like for all the other Blend Bunny palettes, this one was just very lackluster, but I still love the brand as a whole. They're one of my favorite indie brands out there. She creates such phenomenal palettes. I love how artistic and creative she is, but this one just wasn't it for me. So coming in at number 87, coming in at number 86, we do have the Blend Bunny plastic palette. Coming in at number 85, we do have the Game Beauty Street Fighter palette. Now, I actually really do enjoy Game Beauty. Their formula is actually pretty great, but this palette to me was just a little confusing. Now, I'm all for creativity, but when I see a color story like this, I genuinely stare at it. And I go, what can I do? Like, this to me is just cluttered. Not in like artistic way, the way that Blend Bunny does, but like in a very just like messy, I'm just going to throw colors together and put in the palette and make here you go type of way. I, to this day, stare at this palette and I go, I couldn't even tell you what color combinations I'd want to do. Now, with the mattes performed great, the shimmers performed great, but I just was so confused when staring at this palette going, I genuinely don't know what type of look to create. I don't like that. I don't like staring at a palette going, what can I do? Like, what can I do? Because I've been doing this now for like, 6 years. And I'm not saying that I am a, professional, but I feel like I've gotten pretty good at kind of color coordinating shades together and creating a pretty decent eye look. This one right here, I had to stare at it and I had to go, I could do this. I don't like it. I like the formula of this palette. That the formula was great, but the color story just isn't it for me. Plus, I was never really a Street Fighter person. I was a Mortal Kombat person anyway. But the color story just really throws me off. So coming in at number 85, we do have the Game Beauty. This is going to be the Street Fighter palette. Coming in at number 84, I feel bad saying this because it's like no brand's fault, but my least favorite holiday is Valentine's Day. I don't know why, because I've been married to my husband now for 5 years. We've been together for like 17. So you'd think I'd enjoy Valentine's Day. But for me, I just feel like it's such an overrated holiday. And I just feel like it is a huge like cash grab holiday. Like, I feel like you should celebrate love every single day. And I feel like it also is a slap in the face for those who may not have a significant other in their life to celebrate with, and just being constantly thrown it in their face. And, maybe I'm still bitter. Maybe I'm still bitter as a child, being left out a lot when they did Valentine's Day shit at school. I'm still bitter. I'm going to always be bitter. But I'm not a pink person. I'm not a red person. I never have been, okay? So whenever brands do send me their Valentine's Day palettes, I try to be as fair as possible, but I still just don't resonate with them. So that is why at number 84, we do have the Unearthly. This is going to be the Love palette right here. Now, this is going to be the Thinking of You Love palette. Formula works really nice. I will give the brand that. The formula works really nice. The shimmers are beautiful. The color story I just don't really resonate with. I just feel like for me, I prefer a little bit more better color story. And I just feel like, wow, this doesn't truly scream the typical like Valentine's Day look, Valentine's Day palette feel. I don't know. I don't really find myself resonating with this palette. I don't really find myself gravitating towards this palette. I could probably do like 1 or 2 different looks with this palette because I won't really mess with like some of the shades up here. I'll probably just kind of stick to this little 4 corners right here, and I shouldn't do that with the palette. I should be able to utilize all the palettes. And for me, I'm also not the biggest fan of like 9-pan palettes. There's only one brand out there that has the best 9-pan palettes and that work beautifully for me, and that's Fantasy Cosmetica. Other brands, I just generally am not the biggest fan of like the 9-pan palettes because I feel like you are also kind of limited on what type of looks you can create. So it just really depends on the brand and the color story, and this just wasn't it. And I really do love Unearthly, and I have like great love for this brand, but this palette just wasn't it for me. So that is why at number 84 we do have the Unearthly Love Thinking. That's why at number 84 we do the Unearthly Thinking of You palette. Coming at number 83, we do have the Glamlite Douse Mendoza collection. So this palette right here, I will say the formula is nice. I'll never take that away. The formula is actually quite nice. The color story though, I don't resonate with it. There's a lot of reds. I just don't resonate with it. Like, half this palette is mostly neutrals, which again, I don't mind a good neutral moment, but the rest are just colors that I don't really gravitate to. They're purple, they're pinks and reds, and then all neutrals. And not really color that I gravitate to a lot. Yes, there's pops of blues in here and some beautiful like shimmers, but the color story is just very underwhelming. I'm also not a Douse Mendoza fan. Like, I don't generally watch his content. I know who he is. His content has popped up on my page, and I don't always like some of the things that he does and says, personally. So I don't necessarily resonate with him. I will say that the palette performed really nicely. The palette performed beautifully. The mattes were great. The shimmers were great. So I'll never take it away from Glamlite. Just the palette as a whole, it's just not my favorite. Like, I like the look I created with this. It was fun. And I love the Douse Mendoza lip kit that he created. Fucking beautiful. Like that Pentonia one. Oh, I freaking love it. But this just wasn't it. this just wasn't it for all the other color palette, for all the other Glamlite palettes that for all the other Glamlite palettes that launched this year. This one was just not it for me. So that is why at number 83, we do have the Glamlite collaboration with Douse Mendoza. Coming in number 82, we do have the ABH. This is going to be the Sugar palette right here. Now, I will say the color story is pretty, but the formula is extremely messy. I have played with this palette now quite often off camera because I just enjoy this to travel with, and it is so messy. I don't know how else to describe it besides the mattes just get everywhere. There's so much fallout with it that is just kind of annoying to deal with. And then the shimmers, they're not as wowing as I thought they might have been. After playing with them for quite some time, I really am like, it's okay. The formula is okay. The matte formula is okay. It's just kind of like an okay palette. It's pretty, it's good to travel with, but that's pretty much all it is. And I've tried so many other palettes this year that I definitely prefer more of this. There's really nothing too bad to say other than that the formula is just okay, and I just prefer other ones over this one. So that is why number 82, we do the ABH Sugar palette. Coming in at number 81, we actually do have the ABH Spice palette. Now, I actually used this palette this past year to create like the Pantone color of the year. Again, a really pretty palette. It's really nice to travel with, but again, that formula is just so messy. Like the mattes have so much fallout, and then the shimmers, they're just lackluster compared to other shimmer formulas that I have tried that I enjoy a lot more. You kind of have to like really dig in here, and then you kind of have to like dig in here to get the formula to really stick on the lid. And while it is pretty, I also just hate how flaky and messy it is. It's just a really messy palette. But again, it's just one of those palettes that's easy to travel with. It works well when you do it, easy to travel with. It works whenever you do use it. It's just really messy. And to me, it's just an okay palette. I definitely prefer other ones over this one, but I'm still going to keep it because it is a great palette to travel with. So that is why at number 81, we do have the ABH Spice palette. Okay, so now we're moving into the top 80. So coming in at number 80, I did enjoy this palette, and I do take this palette with me to travel with because it does work nicely. But the reason why it's pretty low on the list is just because I personally prefer other palettes over this one, and it's going to be the Morphe. This would be the Outer Spice palette right here. This is a pretty palette. Now, I feel like these two shades right here definitely worked more than the original palettes than the other Morphe palettes I talked about. These ones have a little bit more of a glitter base to them, so they're more glittery. But again, I do have to put down glitter glue to get these to stay because they do not want to stay on my lids. But the mattes actually perform very nicely. The mattes perform very nicely. This is, again, a really easy palette to travel with. I just personally am not a big fan of small palettes like this. I do enjoy them for travel, but realistically, I don't reach for them a lot in my collection because I prefer other color stories and other formulas over this one. But I will say I was happy to see that they did update this one to be more of a glitter-based formula, so it worked really pretty. But to me, it's still not the best palette, because like the shimmer right here, it's okay, but it's still like their 2017, 2018 shimmer formula, and I feel like we've definitely evolved from that point. So not the most wowing, but it's still fun to play with. So that is why at number 80, we do have the Morphe Outer Spice palette. Coming in at number 79, we do have the Clarity Cosmetics. This is going to be the Coffee Lovers palette. Now, one, I already told you guys, I'm not a big fan of palettes that are shaped like that. The pan sizes, they just are too small for me. But the reason why this is being knocked down on the list compared to other palettes is because the color story is just not the most wowing neutral color story. Like, listen, you guys know I'm a big colorful person. I love colorful makeup, but I don't mind having a beautiful neutral palette as at the moment either. And I just feel like this was lackluster compared to other neutrals that I have in my collection. And also, there are some foil shades in here, like this shade right here called Deja Snow. This is going to be super, super, super foily that this flakes. This flakes like crazy, and trying to take it off, y'all, it is a pain to take off. And I don't like whenever formulas in a palette are difficult to work with, whether it's putting it on and it flakes or taking it off and it just gets everywhere. I'm not a big fan of that. I hate super, super foily style shimmers because I just struggle with them whenever it comes to taking them off or getting them to blend. This to me is just a little bit too much, and it also is starting to crack. And I just feel like the rest, like the other shimmers, they're okay, but they're just kind of lackluster in the formula. Not a big fan of how this one performed. I'm not the big fan of the color story itself. It's pretty, but definitely underwhelming compared to other palettes. So that is why at number 79, we do have the Clarity Cosmetics Coffee palette. Coming in at number 78, we do actually have the Clarity Cosmetics. This is going to be the Cobra palette. Now, the reason this one is lower is because, not because it's not a pretty palette, but because of the formula itself. I just have started to play with this after I did my initial review, and it is nice, but I just feel like those mattes were a little gritty. And then the shimmers were not like the most wowing formula. They feel almost hard pan to me. It works well, but it feels almost hard pan to me. It isn't like the most wowing formula itself. Now I do like the fact that the palette does perform nicely. You are kind of limited on what type of shade you are kind of limited on the type of eye look that you can create with this, but I just feel like out of all of the palettes I tried this year, this one just wasn't as wowing as other ones. And while it is pretty, the formula is decent. It's not my most favorite, and I didn't like how some of the mattes were pretty gritty and had some fallout, and the shimmers just feel, they work well, but they just feel not like they're creamy and buttery, but just, I don't know, just they just feel kind of, I don't want to say the shimmers feel gritty, but they just feel almost hard panned, and I don't like that feeling. So that is why at number 78 we do have the Clarity Cosmetics. This is going to be the Cobra palette. Coming in number 77, we do have the Unearthly. This is going to be the Murky Metal palette, and I actually pay for this one myself, and it is a pretty palette. The palette performed nicely, but again, I'm just not the biggest fan of 9-pan palettes. Like I said, there's only like one brand that I truly do love with their 9-pan palette. For me, this just wasn't one of them. I'm very limited on the looks that I create. While it definitely is up my color alley, like I just feel like I don't connect to this palette compared to other Unearthly palettes out there. I actually decluttered this one this year, and I bought it myself, and it is a really cute palette, but again, I'm restricted on what I can create with this. I feel like I can only do so much. I can use only so much. I didn't really resonate with this one compared to other ones, and it is pretty, but just not one that I really connect to a lot. So that is why at number 77, we do have the Unearthly Murky Metal palette. At number 76, we do have the DD Signature. This is going to be the Shattered Romance palette. Now, this is the first palette I actually tried from DD Signature was this past year, was this one right here. And I will say it is a pretty palette. The formula works amazing. Mattes, super pigmented. Those shimmers are creamy and buttery. Chef's kiss. It's the color story. It's just the color story. I'm not a pinky red person. This is supposed to be their version of like a broken heart for Valentine's Day. And while it is fun, there's only 2 shades in here that I would generally use, which would be these 2 shades right here. The rest I would not use. Personally would not use. And for me, for a palette to rank higher, I should be able to use every single shade. And I'm not saying I couldn't. I just don't get inspired by those. I just don't get inspired by the color story, by those shades. So it's why it's lower on the list. Not because it's not a good palette, but because it's just a color story I just don't resonate with. It's a palette that I generally probably won't pick up that often because I just don't really gravitate to these colors. So that is why at number 76, we do have the DD Signature. This is going to be the Shattered Romance palette. Coming in at number 75, you guys know how much I love Disney. So whenever ColourPop does a Disney collab, I have to get it. And right now, I have to get it, but that doesn't mean they're always good. This case in point, this is going to be the Toy Story palette with ColourPop. I love the outside packaging. I think the outside packaging is absolutely beautiful. The color story on the inside, to me, I don't know. There's just something about it that I just look at it and I just like, it does scream color. It does scream Toy Story. I will give them that. It screams Toy Story, but I just don't care for the rest of it. I just was underwhelmed with this year's ColourPop, Toy Story one. I liked the Shrek. I thought the Shrek was great. I liked the Tangle. Even the Stitch to me was a little bit better. This one right here, it's just something about this color story that I just stare at and I'm just like, I just don't like it. I think the formula is great, but I just don't like it. I also hate that they still put the pressed glitter in here. I wish they would just get rid of this freaking pressed glitter formula. I know they stepped up and it's very different from what it once was, but it's still a pressed glitter formula, and I just truly wish that they would get rid of that. For some reason, they still refuse to. I also didn't like the fact that some of the shades in here should have been matte shades, and these were actually all shimmers. And I feel like that's another reason why I didn't connect this palette, because all this right here was shimmers, and to me, it should have been mattes. They had too many shimmers in here and not enough mattes, so it made it very difficult for me to create a really fun aesthetic look that would go with this palette, because everything was just like a shimmer, and I was like, you gotta have more of an equal balance. You gotta throw some mattes in there, and I feel like they really kind of dropped the ball on that by adding too many shimmers. So for me, it's why I was just not the greatest palette. So that is why at number 75, we do the ColourPop Toy Story palette. They could have done so much more, but they kind of dropped the ball on it. Coming in number 74, we do the Pastel Rose. This is going to be the Moonlight palette. I will say this palette's pretty. It's pretty, but it's just one of those palettes that just doesn't really stand out to me. I see it and I go, oh yeah, that's a pretty palette. I like the look I created, but then I completely forget about it once more. I think for me, the packaging doesn't stand out at all. It's a very light cardboard packaging, so it feels really, really cheap. But then the colors from the inside, it's pretty. But one, it's pretty, but like, there's nothing about it that stands out. There's nothing about it that stands out. And I feel bad because the brand is really nice, but there really is nothing about this palette that truly stands out for me that makes me go, wow, that's a really great palette. I don't dislike it, but it's definitely not my favorite either. So that is why at number 74, we did the Pastel Rose. This is going to be the Moonlight palette. Coming in at number 73. Now, I absolutely love this palette. This is where it starts to get a little bit more difficult for me because it's not that I don't love these palettes. It's just that I do prefer others over others. So there's nothing wrong with these palettes. Now I'm at the point where I'm starting to really like the palettes I'm start showing, but I just like others more than others. So right here at number 73, we do have the Danessa Myricks. This would be the mini pastel palette, and mine is breaking. What is happening? I have to be careful because this one wants to break. I think I had issues that when I first bought it too. It's a beautiful palette. It's definitely a very beautiful palette. The formula performs beautifully. Mattes are pigmented, and those multi-chromes in here are absolutely gorgeous, but they do break really easily, and I'm also limited on what I can create. I can only do so much with this palette. I can only create so much with this palette. So while it's a really great palette, I'm limited on what I can do, and I just prefer other palettes over this one because I am limited, and it's also breaking, and that's really unfortunate. However, that I got from Fantasy Cosmetica, and this is how I can repress some of the broken shadows in here. I can start to repress them with this little machine stuff that they gave me. So I'm gonna have to look into that because I have 2 palettes now that have broken shadows, and it's so annoying to deal with. So anyway, coming in at number 73, we do the Danessa Myricks. This would be the mini pastel palette. Coming in number 72, we do have the ColourPop collaboration with Tangled. First off, the outside packaging, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. And for me, the color story on the inside is also so pretty. It's a really pretty palette. I feel like they did a really great job at capturing the essence of Tangled. But the reason why it's lower on the list is just because, again, this is just one of those color stories that I'm kind of limited on what type of looks I can create. I can only do so much because it's a very, very small color story between just the yellows and the lavenders and the purples. That's pretty much where you're stuck at. So I can create a neutral look, or I can create like a pastel lavender pinky moment look with this, right? That's pretty much all I can do. The formula worked great. Again, they had those freaking pressed glitters in here that I wish they would get rid of. But other than that, it's a nice palette. I just like other ones more than this one, and I do think this one was actually pretty. I just like other ones more than this one. So when it just comes down to it, I just prefer other color stories over this one. So at number 72, we do have the ColourPop. This will be the Tangled palette. Coming at number 71, I feel so bad saying this because I love this brand, but we have the Gourmand Girls Bitten palette. Now, the reason why this is lower is not because it doesn't perform well. It does. It's the color story. It's just the color story for me. I don't get super excited when I look at this color story. I don't get super inspired when I look at this color story. I just see a lot of colors that I typically do not gravitate to. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like a good purple eye moment, but for me, this one right here, just, I don't know. I just don't resonate with it. Now, this was their version of a Valentine's Day palette, and while it was definitely fun to play with, I just don't really resonate with this color story at all. I can create very few looks with this, and I just don't get inspired. And even though the formula works great, I don't think it's the most wowing Gourmand Girls palette they launched this year. So that is why at number 71, we do have the Gourmand Girls Bitten palette. Coming in at number 70, we do have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This is going to be the Ellis Volume 2 palette. Now, the reason why this one's going to be in here is because this is all mattes. Now, I don't mind an all matte palette, but I think the formula in here worked beautifully. I could just only do so much because it's a very cool tone. Now, they did break it up where you can have more of like the warmer tone and then the more cool tone. I like the way that they did that, where they had 2 separate palettes of the same thing, but I just got sent the bigger one. I'm very glad that I did. Now, I do grab this palette if I want to just get this to create looks with other palettes. I will reach into this, but as a standalone, I can only do so much. At least for me, I feel like I'm kind of limited on what I can do with this palette by itself, but I do appreciate the range of colors in here. It's very different from the Ellis's Volume 1 palette. It was a very it's a very rainbow palette. This is a great complementary one to that. It's just, for me, by itself, I just won't get as much use out of it without having to mix it with other ones, and I shouldn't have to mix with other ones to get more use out of it. So that is why at number 70, we do have the Blend Bunny Ellis palette. Coming in at number 69, we also have the Blend Bunny. This is going to be the Garden of Stars palette. This is also with Ellis. The reason why this one is going to be pretty low is because this is a palette full of multi-chromes and shimmers and duochromes. While there's nothing wrong with that, it's really beautiful. Again, this is one of those palettes I just really can't realistically use by itself because it's just all shimmers. And while I do love a good shimmer moment, I pretty much have shimmers on my eye, I do like to have a matte because I feel like mattes help to balance it out. I have to pair this palette with other palettes. Now, if I want to just create something by itself and just do one single shadow, sure, one single shadow, sure, this is great for that. But if I want to create a really fun creative look, I do have to mix this with other palettes, and I shouldn't have to do that in order for me to create a really fun look. I'm not saying you can't create fun looks with this. It's just for me personally, I like to have, dimension in my looks. I like to have transition shades, and I just feel like I can't really do that with this palette. So nothing wrong with it. It performs beautifully. It's absolutely gorgeous. But again, since it's a palette that I have to mix with others, it's why it's a bit lower on the list. So coming in at number 69, we do have the Garden of Stars palette with Blend Bunny and Ellis. Coming number 68, just like what I said about the Blend Bunny and Ellis, we have the DD Signature. We have the Day Day Signature Volume 2 palette. Again, this palette is mostly full of multi-chromes and dual chromes. Yes, there are 3 shimmers. Yes, there are 3 mattes. But again, those mattes are very limiting on what I can create. They're purple, green, and brown. I can only do so much. Now, the multi-chromes in here are absolutely gorgeous. They perform beautifully. Again, I am kind of limited on what I create. I'd have to mix this palette with something else. The reason why it's a little bit higher than the Ellis one is because there's 3 mattes, but I do have to mix this with other palettes in order to create a look that I want to create. This is fun to get inspired by, to look at, to go, okay, I maybe want to pick this and go into a different palette. I can mix and match, which is fun. But as a standalone, I really just don't use it as much as a standalone. I do have to mix it. So that is why number 68, we do have the Day Day Signature Volume 2 Chromebook. Coming in at number 67, we do the Bella Beauté Bar Unoriginal Nudes palette. First off, when you see the outside packaging, you think this is going to be a really fun pink, red, black, white inspired palette, right? No, it's not. When you open the inside, it's literally going to be a cool tone nude palette. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good cool tone nude palette. But for me, I just don't connect to this palette like I do other ones. It's a very beautiful palette. The formula performs great. This is great if you will have a good neutral moment. This is going to be a perfect palette for you. But for me, since I don't always use a lot of neutral shades, I just don't like this one nearly as much as I like other ones. I have nothing bad to say. I have nothing bad to say about it. The color story The color story is really pretty. Formula is great. Shimmers are great. But for me, it's just the color story that I just look at. I go, okay, I could do only so much because it's very, very cool tone, and there's very cool tone, and it's just, I don't know. I like a good neutral moment, but I'm still more of a colorful person. So it's definitely going to be a little bit lower on the list because it is more neutral, but it is fun to play with. I just only can create so much with this palette. So, and I only get inspired so much with this palette. So that is why at number 67, we do have the Bella Beauté Bar Unoriginal Nudes palette. Coming in at number 66, actually I just realized almost 626. We have the ColourPop collaboration with Stitch. This is going to be the Beach Dreaming palette. First off, the packaging is super, super cute. The color story on the inside, it's a really fun, festive color story. But for me, it doesn't fully scream Stitch. I really enjoy it for like a summer, spring palette, but seeing Stitch, I still don't see it. I don't know if I'm blind, but I don't see Stitch. And I even said that in my video that I did not see Stitch, and I still stand by that. But I will say I loved the colors. I love the color story outside of it being Stitch, and I love playing with this palette, and I love the aesthetics of it as a whole. But I still just don't see the correlation with Stitch and this palette. It's just a beautiful spring, early summer palette to me, and that's just pretty much how I'm going to take it as. I don't really take it as Stitch because I see no correlation. If I did, it'd probably be a lot higher, but yeah, I just don't see it. Again, they still have that formula that I freaking hate with the pressed glitter in here. Hopefully one day they'll get away from that. But overall, this was a really fun palette to play with. So that is why at number 66, we do the ColourPop Stitch palette. Coming in at number 65, we do have the Alter Ego. This is going to be the Sunlit Dreams palette. Now, this palette is really pretty. I think this was supposed to mimic Natasha Denona's nude, something nude. I need a nude, I need a warm, I need something palette. This is what this is supposed to represent. And this is a really pretty warm tone neutral palette. And I definitely had a lot of fun playing with this. The shimmers in here are beautiful. The mattes work really nicely. I just definitely prefer other color stories over this one. Nothing against this brand when I say that. I just prefer other color stories over this one. This one was definitely fun to play with. I love how they have a little bit of a multi-chrome in here. Performs very, very beautifully, but I do have to use a little bit of glitter glue to get it to perform more than usual, because normally I don't have to, but this one just felt a little bit on the lackluster side, but it still worked nicely when I did get it to work, if that makes any sense. Still really fun palette to play with, but just one that I just don't really find myself gravitating to a lot. So that is why number 65, we do have the Alter Ego. This is going to be the Sunlit Dreams palette. Alrighty, coming into number 64, we do have the Glamlite Team Edward palette. First off, the packaging, amazing. I think they did such a good job with their Breaking Dawn collection. I love that whenever you open this up, you are going to have this beautiful color story right here. We have a quote from Edward, and you're going to have, you know, the Edward palette where it shifts from the lenticular motion palette. But for me, the color story, it's pretty. It's pretty, but it's just one of those things that I generally really have to work at it to really see Edward Collins in this. I don't know what all of us were truly envisioning for an Edward palette. There are some shades in here that I can definitely see, but other ones, I guess I just kind of look at it and I'm like, and I just try to envision Edward. And I feel like that's where a lot of us got kind of stumped when we saw this collection. We're all just like, we think Jacob did well, but Edward, all of us were like, I can kind of see it, but it's like a stretch. And I have to really like stare at it to be like, okay, let me see what I can put together to truly see a Collins Edward moment. And I feel like I don't see it fully. Now, I will say the palette performed really beautifully. I really enjoyed the formula. I enjoyed the mattes. I enjoyed the shimmers. I enjoyed the concept as a whole. But I definitely just did not see the full correlation with Edward at all in this. And while I really wanted to, I thought they did great with the Jacob one. This one just fell a little short in my opinion on that one. So that is why at number 64, we do have the Glamlite collaboration with Breaking Dawn, aka Twilight. Speaking of Glamlite, we have the brand new Saw palette right here. Now, Glamlite had told me several times now that they were going to send me this collection in PR. They never did, so I was smart enough and I bought this palette for myself, which I'm so glad that I did because, well, I never got the collection, which is honestly okay. But I did try this palette out. You guys will see this in a Glamlite ranking coming up. I will say, one, the packaging, freaking amazing. I think they did such a great job with this packaging. You open this up, and again, it's that beautiful way that they do their aesthetics. You don't actually have a lenticular motion palette for once, but it is a really pretty packaging. You have Jigsaw right there, and then you open up this color story. For me, it's a fun color story. Yes, does Glamlite do something very similar with each color story? Yes, they do definitely more on the cool tone side. They throw a lot of purples, a lot of reds, and a lot of deeper shades. I don't know if that's just something that they constantly go for, but they absolutely do. But you know what? Each brand has their own preference, so I can't knock them for that. But I will say out of all the palettes, this one kind of stands out a little bit differently because there's a little bit more different shades in here compared to all the other ones. All the other ones do look somewhat similar, but this one kind of stands out more. And I really enjoyed this shade right here called Cut Deep because it's going to be a shimmer shade that's white with red reflex in it. But whenever you actually do swatch it, it actually turns into this really pretty, like, oh, I'd have to swatch it for you so you guys can see. It's like a really pretty, like, white red moment. It shows up whenever you swatch it. But I will say this palette was fun to play with. It's a really pretty palette. I enjoy the eye looks. I can do kind of like neutral looks with this, but I could do some pops of color. But overall, I just feel like they did a pretty good job with this one. Is it the most volume from them? No. But I think they did a good job overall. Do I see Saw? No, but you know what? It is cute nonetheless. So that is why at number 63, we do the Glamlite Saw palette. Up next, at number 62, we do have the Glaminatrix. This is going to be the Nearly Natural palette. Now this is supposed to be a reformulated palette from their original one. I will say the color story is really beautiful. They do the kind of the shades in here, the pan sizes that I'm personally not a fan of, but I will say it's a really pretty palette. It's a neutral palette where you have some warm tones in here, you have some cool tones in here, and you have some beautiful shimmers in here. You can create an overall really beautiful look. I can definitely do a lot more with this. The reason why it's just a little bit lower is just because I prefer other color stories. Again, like I said, I love a good neutral moment, but I'm definitely more of a colorful person. I'm definitely more of a colorful eye look. It's just how I've always been my whole life. And while I definitely can get inspired by this, I kind of have to go in quadrants to create a really fun look. And I shouldn't always have to go in quadrants to be inspired, but that's kind of what I get from here. And I only kind of stick to this side of the palette when I do play with it. I don't really venture too much into the other ones. And I really should if I want to and I really should, but I just kind of stick to this. So this is why it's a little bit lower because I kind of just stick to a section instead of playing with it as a whole. So that is why at number 62, we do have the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. Okay, so coming in at number 61, this one genuinely surprised me because I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. And it's actually the Morphe Naughty palette. I really enjoyed playing with this palette. I really enjoyed the eye look. A lot of you guys were like, Allie, what's this eye look? I really should post a short because I actually filmed the short of me doing this. I haven't posted it. And you guys really want to know how I created the look with this. This is one of those palettes I can definitely see myself traveling with. It's really easy to work with. The shimmers are incredibly nice in this one. Mattes perform really beautifully. And this is what I mean with like Morphe's like formula has like changed and evolved throughout the year. The formula in here is just really overall super nice. It's, you know, it has a little bit of a glimmer to it, so it has that nice high shine, but it's not overall like messy. It doesn't flake, it doesn't crease, it doesn't fall off. The mattes blend really easily, and I just feel like this was such a fun palette overall to play with. Really fun, especially for the holiday season. I feel like this is one of those palettes I can play with and use every single day. It's a perfect like neutral palette for me to use every single day. So that is why at number 61 we do have the Morphe Naughty palette. Coming at number 60, we do have the Bella Beauté bar. This is going to be the Morally Gray palette. Now this, to me, this palette is fun. This palette's fun. It's going to be a gray tone with like some pinks in here. And I don't know why this shade just works so well together. I love the eye looks I created with this. It's a very like smoky-esque palette. And I do love a good cool tone, smoky, and neutral palette. There's something about it that I do also kind of gravitate to. But I will say for me, the reason why it's just lower is because, again, it's a 9-pan palette and I can only do so much with this. But the looks I did create with this was really fun. Very pink, very like smoky-esque with a little bit of pink to it, which I thought was actually really pretty, especially during this spring season. So that is why at number 60 we do have the Bella Beauté bar. This will be the Morally Gray palette. Plus this is kind of like a play on all the romantasy books that I read, and I do love a good romantasy book, and I feel like this just kind of hit that mark right there. Coming in at number 59, we do have the Glaminatrix. This is going to be the Timeless Tones palette. Now the outside packaging would scream blues and whites and elegance. Now I'm not saying that's not in here, because it is in here, but there's also just so much cool tone shades in here too that I'm just kind of look at and I go, okay, I can play with this row and some of these shades, and like the rest are like these shades right here I generally would never really go for, right? I just shades right here I'd never really go for, maybe, but the rest I'm just kind of limited. It's a really pretty palette. I love the fact they do have some blues and some greens in here, but again, I'm just kind of limited on what I can create, and that's maybe more of my problem more than anything else, just more of my problem and the looks I like to go for. I think it's a really fun palette. It works really beautifully. The shimmers in here are incredible, but I don't resonate with this palette as I do other palettes from this brand, and I just feel like this one is just a bit more on the safer side, more of those who love a good neutral, more of those who love a good cool tone moment with a pop of color. You can definitely see that in here. It's really pretty. I like other ones more. So that is why at number 59 we do have the Glaminatrix Timeless Tone palette. Now coming number 58, a lot of you guys got mad when I said that this palette doesn't scream fully what it represents. A lot of you guys got mad. I said yes it does, and I was like, oh, okay. But we have the Glamlite. This would be the Lord of the Rings palette. First off, the packaging on this is amazing. I love the packaging on this. I love the way that it is supposed to be the Middle Earth. We have all them traveling right here. You open this palette up, you're going to have this amazing map of Middle Earth right on this palette. I think it's so freaking pretty. I freaking love it. I love, love, love the packaging. I feel like they really went all out for this one. For me, the color story, it is a pretty color story. Like, it is a really pretty color story. I don't fully see Middle Earth. And I know a lot of you guys out there said that you do. I necessarily don't. I guess when I think of Middle Earth, I think of like the Shire, where it's like bright greens and yellows and maybe some golds, some browns, and maybe you can throw in some colors for Rivendell, but everything else, I don't truly see it. And a lot of you guys said that you did. Now, I guess I just wanted more. I guess I wanted to see the Shire. I wanted to see Rivendell. I wanted to see a Mordor in here. I wanted to see more with this palette, and I feel like it just kind of went a little bit more on the safe pastel side. I still think it's really pretty. It's a really pretty like springtime palette. Very unique for Glamlite, because I usually don't do color stories like this, nor do they really ever play with pastel shades, so it's really nice to see them actually do it, but I still just don't fully see Middle Earth with that, and that's just me. That's just me, but it's still a really beautiful palette nonetheless. So that is why at number 58, we do have the Glamlite Lord of the Rings palette. Coming in at number 57, we do have the Bella Beauté bar. This is in collaboration with Nupar. This would be the Coalescence palette. Now this palette is really pretty. It's a really pretty palette. But for me, it's a really pretty palette, but for me, I can again only do so much with this. Now, there's nothing wrong with it. I think the palette will form really beautifully. The shimmers are amazing. The formula is amazing. I'm just kind of stuck on some of the shades of what shades. I'm just kind of limited again what I play with, because there's some shades in here I just generally wouldn't necessarily play with, but the purple in here is really pretty. The greens in here are really pretty. Like the multichromes in here are absolutely gorgeous. I think that they did a beautiful job with this. I'm sure it actually captured Nupar's vision beautifully, but for me, I just kind of prefer other color stories over this one. So that is why number 57, we do have the Bella Beauté bar. This would be the Coal Science palette. Coming in at number 56, we do have the Morgan Turner Love Language palette. First off, I'm still so happy that my friend got to have a collaboration. Morgan is incredibly sweet, and she's like about to be be like giving birth to a baby girl. I'm so excited for her. And I will say this color story for me, this color story screams Morgan. I see Morgan when I see this color story because I know how much she loves her purples. But this is supposed to be a Valentine's Day palette. And again, this is just a palette that I just don't necessarily gravitate to because it's really heavy on the purples and it's really heavy on the pinks. And I am starting to play with a lot more purples. You guys know that I am. I even have purples in today, but I still don't just necessarily go straight to the purples. Like, I know I should because I have like hazel eyes. I really should. But I don't know. There's something about like the purples that I'm still just kind of like, I have to be like in the mood for it, right? But the pinks just really throw me off. I'm just not a pink girly. I'm just not a pink girly at all. Never have been, never will be. Not saying that you can't make really pretty looks at them because you can. I don't know. Just this palette that I don't necessarily gravitate to a lot. It is really pretty, especially it's supposed to be a Valentine's Day palette. And I think Morgan did a beautiful job with this palette. I think it really does scream her. So that is why it is at number 56. We had the Morgan Turner Love Language palette. Coming in at number 55, we do have the Adept. This is going to be the Minka palette. Now this was their new reformulated palette. This was supposed to be different from the original Minka where they add a lot more shades. I think it's a really beautiful palette. I think it's a really beautiful palette. The mattes worked beautifully. The shimmers in here work beautifully, but this is just one of those palettes. While I think it's really pretty, I just don't usually use it a lot. I have to kind of be in the mood for it, but I will say when I do use it, I'm heavily impressed with it. I'm really impressed with the shades in here, the color story, the formula. I just ranked it lower just because it's one of those palettes that I still just don't reach for as often as I should. I just don't get as excited about it as I do other ones, but it's still really pretty nonetheless. It performs very beautifully. I just like other ones more than this one. So that is why at number 55, we do have the Adept Cosmetics Minka palette. Coming in at number 54, we do have the Simply Posh. This is going to be the Black Cherry palette. Now the color story is really pretty, but it's a color story that I won't wear by itself. I did mix this with the number like 53 or 53. I did mix this to create a really beautiful, fun look. I will say the formula is not my favorite formula. The mattes work really nicely, but the shimmers are not like the super creamy, buttery shimmers. I will say it does work great for those who have very super oily lids. You may actually like the shimmer formula in here more than like other ones because this one is not super emollient, so it won't necessarily flake or fade throughout the day or come off since if you do have really oily lids, and that's kind of nice about this one. I just kind of prefer more creamier ones because I don't have that issue, but I do recognize that issue does exist. So as I do see, so it's why I know that a lot of people do prefer this formula because it does have a lot longer longevity to it. But for me, the reason why it's just a little bit lower is just because of color story. Like it's one of those palettes I won't necessarily wear by itself. I do have to kind of mix it to create a really fun, beautiful look. But it was really fun to play with nonetheless, and I did enjoy my eye look with this one. So that is why at number 54, we do the Simply Posh Black Cherry palette. Now, since that's at number 54, at number 53, we do have the Simply Posh. This is going to be the Down to Earth palette. Now, this definitely is more of my color story with this palette. This was really fun, summery, festive. But again, I actually did mix this with the Black Cherry to create a really unique color story. I love the eye look that I created when playing the two palettes together. I love the summer vibes in this one. Really pretty, really fun. Again, you can only do so much, though, with those blues, greens, and yellows. You can only do so much with this one, but it's still really fun to play with. Really beautiful palette. I love the eye looks. I get inspired for like the summer season when it comes to this palette. So that is why at number 53, we do have the Simply Posh. This would be the Down to Earth palette. Now, do you want to talk about colorful? At number 52, we do have the DD Signature. This would be the Drops of Fantasy palette. Y'all, this is such a colorful palette. A little bit too colorful for me because, again, I kind of wish that there was some transition shades in here. And I even said that in my video when I reviewed this. I wish that there was more transition shades in here because there's really not. While you can create really beautiful, fun, festive looks with this, you absolutely can. I feel like there's not enough transition shades to create a dimension on the eye. Or if you want to kind of blend out more of a harsher matte, I feel like you don't really get to the opportunity with that because of some of the shades that are in here. They're just a little bit too deep in pigment. There just need to be some lighter shades in here to help the transition. But that's just more of my opinion, and that's just more of my gripe with it. Other than that, it performed very beautifully. I had a lot of fun with it. So that is my number 52. We do have the Day Signature. This will be the Drops of Fantasy palette. And at number 51, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be the the Fairy Tale Europe palette. First off, the packaging is just so beautiful. Like, I love the castles, right? And the colors on the inside, it's so fun. It's so fun. It's so creative. You can create really fun, like fairy tale-esque looks with this palette. I definitely had a lot of fun with this. But I will say, There are so many shimmers in here to mattes. I feel like the only gripe I have with this one is that all the mattes are down here and they're very neutral. I just wish there had been some more colorful mattes in this palette compared to other ones. I feel like other ones, they had an equal balance. This one was just a little bit too much in shimmer, so I can only do so much for an eye look because I just am limited on what I can do for mattes. I don't want to just have to put this with purple. I don't want to just put blue, you know, brown with pink or blue. I want to just have like a darker pink or darker purple matte to go with it. And I really didn't get to have that in this palette. So that's why it's ranked a little bit lower. But other than that, it's still a really beautiful palette. So coming in at number 51, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. We have the Fantasy palette. Coming in number 50, we do have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This is going to be the Rotten palette. This is in collaboration with Me Ping. And I will say this palette to me is so unique for Blend Bunny. First off, I love this supposed to be based upon mold. It has like nice little fuzziness to it. But for me, it's the color story on the inside. It's a very, very, very ugly color story, but in the most beautiful way possible. I love the eye looks I created with this. It actually goes with little 5-pan like shimmer palette, but I just didn't include that because I'm just kind of, I guess, putting them together. But for me, this palette, I think the reason why I ranked it higher is just because I get inspired. I get inspired by the ugliness of this. I'm like, ooh, okay, there's something about this particular ugliness that just to me, I find to be so creative and artistic. Now, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to Blend Bunny. This is the type of stuff I expect from this brand, the artistic, beautiful vibes of it. Like the plastic was just not it, but this is fun, it's different, and it's very challenging for the normal it's very challenging for the average makeup user to create really fun and something really fun and beautiful. And that's what the purpose of this is. It's to find beauty in the ugliest thing possible, which is mold and decay. And that's what this palette represents. And I really love that about this. And I really enjoyed the looks I created with this. And this is a good transition palette. Again, I can mix those other ones. That's why it's not as high, because I do have to kind of mix with those shades. But either way, I do get very inspired when I look at this one. I think it's so fun, so unique, and so creative. And I really love this one. So coming at number 50, we do have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This is going to be the Rotten palette. Oh my god, we are getting down to our last 50. So coming in at number 49, we do have the Odin's Eye. This is going to be the Spring Alva palette. Now this palette was really fun to play with. I really enjoy the concept as a whole. But for me, I just feel like, I don't know, I just like other color stories more than this one. There's nothing wrong with it. It's pinks and purples. This is great for the spring season. But for me, I usually won't really gravitate to these colors until spring if I'm looking for something like that. Other than that, it's fun, it's cute, but it's not the most wowing palette that Odin's had created this year. It's just a color story that I don't fully resonate with a lot. So number 49, we do have the Spring Alva palette from Odin's. And number 48, we actually do have the Summer Alva palette from Odin's. And I will say this color story, I actually really enjoy. This is again a perfect summer palette. I love the blues in here. I love the pops of neutrals in here. It's a really fun palette. But again, I'm only limited on so much I can create with this. I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed like the blue feels. I can definitely see myself gravitating to this during the summer season to create a really fun summer-esque vibe. So that's why it's a little bit lower on the list, because I'm only going to use it for a particular season. But I will say it was definitely a lot of fun to play with, and I think they did a good job with this one. So coming in at number 48, we do have the Odin's Summer Alva palette. Coming in number 47, we do have the Winter Alva from Odin's Eye. I absolutely think this is a really pretty palette. I think they did a good job with the winter aspects. Do I fully see winter? No, but I do see some correlation between winter and the shades in here. It is a really pretty palette. I did rank it pretty decently with my winter ranking, and I had a lot of fun playing with this palette. I really do like the purples in here and the golds. I feel like you can create a really fun, like maybe like New Year's Eve vibe, like New Year's Eve winter-esque look with this. But again, I just prefer a little bit other color stories over this one. But the formula worked really well in this one. So that is why at number 47, we do have the Odin's Eye Winter Alva palette. Coming in at number 46, we do have the Autumn Alva palette right here. And this to me, it doesn't fully scream autumn, but but for me, I see like summer ending going into fall. Like that's the vibe I get. Like this is the end of summer palette. This is supposed to be autumn, but to me it's end of summer. I love the greens in here. I love the golds. I also love some of the silvers in here as well. It's a really fun palette. Super fun. It's a really fun palette. Really enjoy the eye look I created with this. And this to me, I can definitely use not only during like the end of summer, but I could also use it a lot during spring, because I see a lot of spring shades with this color as well. So that is why at number 46, we do have the Odin's Eye Autumn Alva palette. Coming in number 45, we do have the Icy Crystal palette from Odin's Eye. Now this is a really fun palette. This is their take on a winter palette, and there's definitely some winter shades in this palette for sure. But I just love the pastel shades that are in here. I think it's really fun. It's really pretty. I enjoy the look I created with this. I can see myself gravitating to this a lot during the winter season. I just feel like I'm just kind of limited to the winter season with this palette for the most part. But it definitely is a lot of fun to play with. I really enjoyed the color story. I enjoy the concept as a whole. And again, the formula in here is just beautiful, 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 beautiful formula. So that is why at number 45, we do have the Odin's Icy Crystal palette. Coming in number 44, we do have this would be the ColourPop New Moon palette. And I feel like they really did such a phenomenal job at hitting the concept of new moon. This screams new moon to me. I feel like they did such a wonderful job. I feel like what takes the palette down just a notch is those pressed glitters in there, because God forbid they stay away from it. But other than that, it's a beautiful color story. It truly is. I feel like they really hit the mark of new moon, and I really hope that they continue doing this. I would love to see their take on what eclipse would be, and then Breaking Dawn part 1 and part 2 if they choose to continue, because I feel like they really did such a beautiful job with this color story. This is how I picture new moon, and I feel like they really captured it. So really pretty palette. So that is why really pretty palette. Really loved playing with this one. So that is why at number 44 we do have the ColourPop New Moon palette. Coming in number 43, we do have the Unearthly Just a Taste palette. Now I got this last year, but I didn't get to play with it until later on, so I said I was going to feature it this year, and here we are. Now first off, this was their take on like a holiday palette, so it's like a dark vampire-esque fall to winter palette. You can definitely see the fall shades in here, but you could also see the winter shades in here. It's a really pretty color story. This is like that perfect overall fall winter palette. I can use it fall. This is a beautiful overall holiday palette. I can use it for the fall season. I could also use it during the Christmas season. I think it was very, very innovative, and I think she did such a beautiful job with this color story. Really, really fun to play with, and I love that this is supposed to be a take on like vampires, but it also meets fall and winter it also meets fall and Christmas with this one in one palette, and I really do enjoy that. So coming in at number 43, we do have the Unearthly Just a Taste palette. Coming in at number 42, we do have one of my favorite brands. This would be the Artistry Cosmetics Ink and Roses palette. Now this was their take on like a Valentine's Day inspired collection, and I will say the color story in here is really pretty, definitely perfect for that season. But for me, the reason why it's lower is because again, there's just some shades in here that I just necessarily don't always gravitate to. I'd have to really be in the mood to play with some of those mauves that are in here, and some of those beautiful duochromes in here. There's one pop of green, which is really nice, but I feel like the green kind of stands out, right? But overall, it's a really pretty palette. I just prefer other ones over this one. I really had a lot of fun in here. Like the shade Whisper was one of my favorite shades in this palette. It's super beautiful. Like their shimmers are just chef's kiss. I freaking love this brand. But I will say the color story just isn't as wowing compared to some of their other color stories. So that is why number 42, we do have the Artistry Cosmetics Inks and Rose palette. Coming in at number 42, we do have the Glamlite. This is going to be the Team Jacob palette. First off, again, the packaging, so freaking good. Love the way they do their packaging. I love the lenticular motion feel between the wolf and Jacob. But for me, it's the color story. I feel like Glamlite really hit the nail in the coffin with this color story. I see Jacob, I see La Push, I see just the wolf vibe as a whole. Like this is supposed to represent like La Push Beach, his tribe, and him as a whole as a wolf. And I see that. It's a very beautiful color story. A lot of people thought this is very similar to like the Freddy Krueger, like the Nightmare on Elm Street palette. It is a little similar, but there are some differences. But I feel like it's a really beautiful, like everyday neutral palette too. I feel like Glamlite really did a good job with this one. I really love the color story. I love the shades. I love the formula. And I just really, truly saw Jacob, La Push, and Twilight in this color story right here. So that is why at number 42, we do have the Glamlite Team Jacob palette. Coming in at number 41, we do have the Cosmic Brushes. This is going to be the Lovers Tarot card palette. First off, I love how this is supposed to be a tarot card. You open this up and you're going to have this really pretty color story. Now, this is supposed to be like their Valentine's Day collection, but for me, I see a beautiful spring palette. I see colors that I would definitely resonate. I see colors I definitely reach for during the spring season. Yes, there are some pinky vibes right here, but I just love how I love how it's laid out. So you can have two colorful rows right here. You can just kind of go down and create colorful looks. So they laid it out really beautifully, but two, it's an overall fun palette. I can create so many different looks with this palette. I was definitely impressed when I played with this palette as well, and I just feel like it is just a beautiful spring palette, super fun. Love the color story, love the formula, and this brand is just really exciting to me as a whole. So coming in at number 41, we do have the Cosmic Brushes. This is going to be the Lovers palette. Coming in at number 40, we do have the Terra Moon Cosmetics. This is going to be the Ophicia. I don't know how to say this palette. Ophicia something palette. I don't know how to say it. But I will say this color story is very fun. It's really pretty. I really enjoyed the eyelets I created with this. Now, this is the first time I ever played with anything Halloween from Terra Moon Cosmetics. I was highly impressed with the formula. I was highly impressed with the color story. I was highly impressed with the shimmers. Really fun overall palette to play with. I feel like it's just one of those palettes, if I want to create a really beautiful, fun, green, gold, shifty palette, this would be a palette that I definitely go for. Could I use this every day? Probably not. But definitely one of those palettes, if I want to have those really beautiful green multi-chrome moments, I could definitely find myself reaching for this one. Overall, really impressed with the formula. I'd like to try this brand again. So that is why at number 40, we do have the Terra Moon Ophiuchus palette. Coming in at number 39, this palette actually surprised me because I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did. But we have the Glamlite Bratz palette right here. First off, I love the way they did their packaging. So like it just is super cute. It's a 2-stack palette, right? Like, oop, I just dug my nail into that. It's a 2-stack palette. And for me, this is a color story I would never go for. Never go for it. I don't go for purples like this. But I felt so beautiful with the look that I did with this palette. I truly felt so beautiful. And I've used this palette several times now since playing with it. The pastels in here are just so beautiful, so effortless. And I find myself gravitating to this palette quite a bit. And I usually don't do that, especially when I'm going to work. I just go very minimal, and I just really kind of dig myself into these little pastel shades with a little bit of those shimmers. And it is so beautiful. It's long lasting. I really enjoyed this color story. And while I don't get the Bratz portion of it, I think Glamlite did a really wonderful job with this one. It genuinely surprised me. So that is why at number 39, we do have the Glamlite. This is going to be the Bratz collection. And at number 38, we did the Bella Beauté bar. This would be the Come Play With Us. Now this is their take of like a Halloween meets Christmas palette. So they kind of did, this was inspired by The Shining. Now it's been a long time since I've seen The Shining, but I will say you can definitely see some winter and Christmas shades in this palette. Now the reason why I didn't feature it in any of my winter or Christmas, because this is marketed as a Halloween palette. Like this was their Halloween palette, kind of, but it's also their winter and Christmas palette. It's very unique. It's very unique. I don't really know where to place this category wise if I'm doing any rankings, like when it comes to Halloween or Christmas. I don't really know what to do. But I will say it's a really fun color story. Absolutely fun to play with. I loved the looks I created with this. You can do some Christmas looks with this. You can do some winter eye looks with this. Maybe Halloween. I'm not entirely sure. But overall, it's a really, really fun palette. Now, the reason why it's just slower is because the other Bella Beauté bar palettes I personally prefer more than this one. But this one was still really fun to play with nonetheless. Really fun, really cute. Very unique take on like a Halloween style palette. So that is why at number 38, we do have the Bella Beauté bar Come Play With Us palette. Coming in at number 37, this palette genuinely surprised me at how well it was. And that's going to be the ColourPop Shrek palette. This palette genuinely is a beautiful palette. Now I bought this collection myself, and I will say I'm really glad that I did, because I thought this color story was beautiful. This literally screams Shrek, and something about this formula was so different compared to all the other ones. Like the mattes performed very beautifully. The shimmers had a lot of pigmentation to them, and I didn't really notice, I think besides like one shade, it being like the glitter topper. They just did so good with this. This color story is just so beautiful, really on par for Shrek. And I just feel like out of all like the licensed collabs or the IP collabs that ColourPop had done, this is probably the best one they truly have done. They truly hit the mark when it came to their Shrek palette. And I really enjoyed playing with this one. I reach for it quite often if I want to do a really fun and neutral look, which is the pop of green. This is a palette that I go for. It is so fun. It's so fun. The formula is fantastic, and I just really overall enjoyed this palette. So that is why number 37, we do the ColourPop Shrek palette. Coming in at number 36, we do have the Glaminatrix collaboration with Monolith. This is going to be the Crown Legacy palette. First off, the packaging is super cute, right? But the colors on the inside, it's very beautiful. It's very like regal, very royalty, very like elegant, right? So that's the color. That's what I can get with this palette right here. I can create really fun, beautiful, colorful looks in here. I can only do like kind of like purples, pinks, and greens. That's kind of what I limited you to, but I feel like so elegant with this. I love playing this palette. I love the eye look I created this palette. I just think overall they did a really good job with this collaboration. You can definitely see the elegance and the royalty with the shades, with the color story, and this is just a really fun, beautiful palette overall. So that is why at number 36, we do have the Glaminatrix. This would be the Crown Legacy palette. Coming in at number 35, I didn't get to rank this last year, but I told you guys I'd rank it this year, and it's going to be the Singe Beauty. This is going to be the Galactic Visitor palette. First off, I love the outside packaging. I love the outside packaging. It is aliens and cowboys. Now, my friend Angelica, this is her brand right here. She loves freaking cowboys, okay? She reads cowboy romances like there's no freaking tomorrow. You'll never catch me reading one. That is just not my style at all, but she is obsessed with them. So this palette is so on par for her. It's not even funny, but I really enjoyed the color story. I love the pastel shades in here. But I also love how she put some deeper shades in here. And what I really appreciate is that while I prefer a more creamier emollient shadow, she did not really put that in here. She created something that's going to be long lasting because she has very oily eyelids. So she wanted to create something that's not going to be super creamy and buttery that flakes off the lid. She wanted to create something that's going to stick and last you all day. And that's what she did with this right here. And I really do enjoy this formula. This formula took me by surprise. The mattes blend so beautifully. There's barely any fallout with them. They stayed true to their color. And then the shimmers are just a beautiful shimmer formula. Now the color story is one that I definitely have gravitated to a lot. I loved it a lot last year and I played with it a lot last year. It's just so pretty. I think Angelica did such a beautiful job as this being her first palette. And I was really impressed with this one. So that is why at number 35, we do have the Singe Beauty. This will be the Galactic Visitor palette. Coming in at number 34, a lot of you guys ask me if I have a code with this brand, but I do not. This brand doesn't even know that I exist. I buy all my palettes from this brand, but I have the Cosmic Beauty. This is going to be the Smolder palette. This is a beautiful smoky eyeshadow palette right here. Now you can have those beautiful cool tone, neutral shades in here, but you also have some beautiful like duochromes and some multichromes in here as well that are so beautiful. This palette, I just really love the smokiness of this palette, the smoky eye look I can create. I also love there's also pops of colors in here. So if you don't just want to have just a neutral moment, you can have some pops of colors with some of those shimmers in this palette. The formula is incredible. I loved playing with it and had so much fun with this. So that is why number 34, we do have the Cosmic Beauty. This will be the Smolder palette. Coming in at number 34, this is a brand that I love so much, and this is a brand that I say that they have the best 9-pan palettes, and I stick to it, and that's gonna be the Fantasy Cosmetica. This is gonna be the Artificial palette. This is a beautiful neutral palette right here. You're gonna have a little bit more of the warm tone shades in here, like the golds and whatnot, but I love the eye look. This is more of like an everyday neutral palette, and I think they did such a beautiful job. You have just a perfect range of mattes and shimmers in here, and every single shade complements each other. You can create every single shade complements each other. It doesn't matter what you grab, they're all going to complement each other in one way, shape, or form. And I feel like when it comes to 9-pan palettes, Fantasy Cosmetica just truly knows how to do it. I absolutely do love their brand. I love their formula. I love their formula. When I first tried this brand years ago when they came out with the Druid palette, I fell in love with them then, and I still love them to this day. You know what's so funny is that this is one of the brands, they never acknowledge my existence. Like ever. I never get like, they never open my DMs. They never repost. They never open my DMs. I have no idea if they even know that I still exist because they send me the PR, but like I always create content for them and they like never acknowledge it. And I just, not that I need acknowledgement, but I just want them to know like, hey, I love your shit so much. I make content for you. Don't think that your stuff just falls on deaf ears. I generally do create content for you. I don't want this brand to think that I never create content, because I do all the time and I always tag them, but they actually never acknowledge me. I don't think they like me, if I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had to guess. But I love the brand. I don't know what it is. This brand just doesn't acknowledge my existence, which is completely fine. I just don't want them to ever think that they're just sending me something. I never do anything with it because I always create content for the brand. So I just wanted to say that because it's very interesting, the dynamic that I have. Like, they send me emails to send PR, but that's as far as it goes. I never get responses, DMs, nothing ever, but it is what it is. I absolutely love them, and I think they create such beautiful, beautiful, aesthetically pleasing palettes, and this is one of them right here. So coming in number 33, we do have the we had the Fantasy Cosmetica. This would be the Artificial palette. I think I miscounted in there. I'm not entirely sure, but I went from 35 to 30. Oh, I went from 35 to 34. I guess I didn't put down 33. So I think that's 33 or 32. But I think it says it's 32. So I either have 96 palettes or I have 97 palettes. I think I have 96. I'm an idiot, doesn't know how to count. We're just gonna pretend that was 33 and 2. Because I'm now at 31. And because I see that I wrote 31 and I wrote 32, then I wrote 34. So I don't know how to do my math. So I think I have 96 palettes. But I'm not gonna change anything because I've already been saying the numbers out loud. So it is what it is. We're just gonna deal with it. Ignore it. Okay, so coming in number 31, we're just gonna skip number 33. Coming in number 31, we do the Fantasy Cosmetica. This is going to be the Ranger palette. Oh my god. This palette is stunning. This palette is absolutely stunning. I love the greens. I love the coppers. This is such a beautiful palette. Like, this is what I'm looking for when it comes to like an earthy tone palette, is this right here. I love the color story. I loved the eye looks I created with this. Really fun, very beautiful palette. Formula is incredible. I freaking love this brand. I wish they would just know that I love this brand. But overall, it's a really beautiful, really fun palette. I loved the palette. I love the look I created with this. I love the looks I created with this. And I definitely have gone back in this palette several times since playing with it. I definitely gone back in this palette quite a bit to play with this palette again, because I love the color story and the shades. And I feel like when I think of earthy tones, this is definitely a palette that I truly do think of. So coming in at number 31, we do have the Fantasy Cosmetica Ranger palette. Like I said, 33 just somehow disappeared. So I think I have 96 palettes, but I said 97. But you know what, guys? This is a lot of palettes to write down. It's a lot of freaking palettes to write down. So it is what it is. We're going to be 96, 97. Potato, potato. Okay, so coming in at number 30, we do have the Green Goddess palette from Bella Beauté Bar. This palette is, again, so beautiful. This just seems like almost like a bigger version to the Fantasy Cosmetica Ranger palette. I love a good earthy tone palette. There's something about it that I just think is so pretty. I feel like it complements my eye look so nicely, and I just feel like they did such a beautiful job with this color story. Like, I just resonate with a good earthy tone palette. There's something about it that just gets me so freaking excited, and I really did love this color story a lot. So coming in number 30, we do have the Green Goddess palette from Bella Beauté Bar. Alrighty, guys, so we're getting down to our last 30 palettes. So coming in at number 29, we do have the Bella Beauté Bar. This is going to be the Smoky Glam palette. Now, I do love, like I said, I do love a good neutral moment, but I love a good smoky moment, and I feel like that's what you get with this palette. Now, there's also like a lot of pinks in here, which I typically, like I said, I don't gravitate to, but I think because you can mix it with grays, I see it and I just get like, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like a bigger version to the Morley Gray palette, and I absolutely love that Morley Gray palette. And I just feel like with this one, I kind of stick to like just the shimmer aspects with a little bit more of the grays. I kind of avoid the purples, but I really enjoy the smoky tone of this. You can create really beautiful, smoky, glamorous date night looks, and I just really love that about this palette. So that is why at number 29, we do the Bella Beauté Bar Smoky Glam palette, a palette that I typically would not go for. But like I said, when I played with this one, it genuinely took me by surprise, and I was like, dang, I really like this one. Coming in at number 28, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be the Route 66 palette. Now, typically this palette is one that I wouldn't necessarily go for because it's supposed to be like a Route 66, so like everything you see on the road. The color story is just kind of sporadic, right? The color story is kind of sporadic, but man, I loved the eye look that I created with this brand. And I think even Nomad said that's probably one of their favorite looks they've ever seen me do, was the look that I did with this palette. I really freaking love that look. This was so fun. Very unique for me to create a really fun look the way that I did with this one. It was very inspiring. I played with that look. I played with this palette since, and I've recreated that look several times because it's just an overall really fun, beautiful, creative look, and I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the formula. I enjoyed the concept, and I just had so much fun with this palette. So that is why number 28, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics Route 66 palette. Coming in at number 27, we do have the Blend Bunny. This is going to be the Beauty Below palette. First off, the packaging is absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love the packaging of this palette. It's so heavy too, and it's supposed to be like the sirens and whatnot, but you open it up, one, you have a beautiful mirror in here, but two, I love those deep bold colors. This is supposed to represent like under the sea and the mermaids and the sirens, and I fall for an under the sea mermaid siren palette every single time. There's some colors in there that I just am so freaking obsessed with, and I just feel like they really kind of capture this. I can just picture a mermaid's cove with all her jewels and all her collections, but I can also picture a coral reef and the deep blue sea in this palette. I freaking loved it. I love the color story. I love the concept. I love the shades in here. I love the formula. I think Blend Bunny did such a phenomenal job with this one, and I had so much fun. So that is why at number 27, we do the Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This will be the Beauty Below. Plus the packaging. Oh my God, they did so good. They did so good. Coming in at number 26, we do have the Gourmand Girls. This is going to be the Trapped palette. First off, the outside packaging is super cute. But y'all, it's the colors on the inside. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. This is supposed to be like, I guess, kind of like their take on Halloween a little bit. I don't really see Halloween, but I loved the color story. I love the greens in here. Purples do complement it, but I just feel like this palette was just overall so fun. The formula was incredible, and I loved the eye looks I created with this. I got really inspired with this one right here. I had so much fun with this one. Like I said, the eye looks are just really just kind of what sold me, and I've gone back into this one several times since playing with it, and I just really enjoyed this one. So coming number 26, we do have the Gourmand Girls Trapped palette. Coming in at number 25, we do have Question Beauty. This is going to be like the autumn spring palette. This was so fun. This was so fun. I love the formula of this palette. I think this brand is such an underrated brand. I love the way the mattes are formulated. They're super easy to work with, very blendable, very pigmented. And then those shimmers are just so creamy and buttery. I freaking love this brand. I tried them for the first time this year and I definitely cannot wait to see where they go. It's just a little bit lower on the list because the color story I love, but I just kind of like other color stories a little bit more than this one. But this one was just chef's kiss, so beautiful. Absolutely love this one. So that is why number 25, we do have the Question Beauty Volume 2. This will be the spring and autumn palette. Coming in at number 24, we do have the Fantasy Cosmetica collaboration with my beautiful friend, Miss Batty Bean. First off, the outside packaging is so beautiful. This is supposed to be a tarot card. I love the way that red just glows like that. Like, it's so beautiful. And for me, the color story on the inside is just so pretty. I think Betty Jean did a really beautiful job with those reds, purples, and blues. Now, she knows I'm not the biggest fan of reds and purples a lot, so it's why it's just a little bit lower, but I still loved playing with this palette. I love the formula. I love the concept. I love the eye looks that I created with this. It'd be like a very vampy style palette, and I feel like this really does scream Betty Jean as a whole. Like, she created such a really fun, unique palette, and I had so much fun with this one. I was so proud of my beautiful friends. So coming in at number 24, we do have the Fantasy Cosmetica collaboration with Miss Batty Bean. Coming in number 23, we do have the 'Tis the Season palette from Cosmic Brushes. Now, I absolutely love this color story. This is my, like, I think number 2 Christmas themed palette. This screams Christmas. The color story is everything for me, from the name to the packaging to the shades. This was so fun. The formula was a lot of fun to play with. I love the eye look I created when playing with this. I don't know if I ever got a chance to show it to you guys, but by the time I got this, it wasn't until like in January, because I bought it during like their sales that they were having. I was able to get my hands on this, and it was definitely well worth the purchase. If you guys are still able to get it, I do highly recommend. This was so fun to play with. Definitely does scream Christmas. You can create so many different fun, festive looks with this one. It was just overall a beautifully, aesthetically pleasing palette, and I'm really glad that I got my hands on it. So coming in number 23, we do have the Cosmic Beauty 'Tis the Season palette. Okay, so coming in number 22, we do have the Day Day Signature from the Roots palette. Oh my god, I love this palette. When I first got it, I was like, what can I do? What kind of looks can I create? But then as I started playing with it, I was like, ooh, I could do this, I could do that. And I got super inspired, and I absolutely loved the looks I created when playing with this palette. It's a very beautiful formula. The mattes blend so easily, and the shimmers are just beautiful, creamy, and buttery. And I just think overall it's a really fun, unique story, because like a lot of palettes usually, it's a really fun, unique color story. Like, you don't really see a lot of color stories like this, but they just work so beautifully together. You can create so many different fun, unique looks with this one. So that is why at number 22, we do have the Day Day Signature. This would be from the Roots palette. Coming in at number 21, we do have the Gourmand Girls. This would be the Nevermore palette. And this is supposed to be another Halloween palette from them. And for me, the color story is just so unique. I love the periwinkle blues in here. I love the grays. I love the like pale purples. It's so fun. I love the doo-doo green. It's so fun, so unique. And I loved the eye look I created when playing with this. It was actually a really fun, unique color story for the Halloween season. I love her take on this. This is supposed to be like a mix between like Edgar Allan Poe and, you know, Wednesday Addams. And I feel like she just did a beautiful job with this color story. It was really fun for me to play with. I love the eye looks. I love the color story. I thought it was a very unique Halloween palette, and for me, just the color story is just so out there, and it's so different from what I have in my collection that I absolutely had to rank this higher. So that is why number 21, we do have the Gourmand Girls Nevermore palette. Coming number 20, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is be the Chris Kendall Mark palette, and this was their Christmas palette this year, and this palette was just so fun. I absolutely love the color story. I love playing with this. I love the concept. I love that this was like a little tree, and it just was a really fun, unique palette to play with this year, and I really, oh, I got a little nick on this one. I really enjoyed playing with this one. I think that Nomad really hit the mark when it came to their Christmas palette this year. Just really beautiful. I loved the way they made that into a tree, and just the way they celebrated, you know, traditions and other cultures. And I don't know. I really enjoyed this one a lot. So coming at number 20, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be the Chris Kendall Mark palette. And again, I hope I'm saying that right. Coming in at number 19, we do have the Singe Beauty. This is going to be the Paisley Hoop palette. Now, like I said, I'm not really one that goes for a lot of neutrals, but this one was just done so beautifully. First off, the outside packaging is absolutely beautiful. But for me, it's the color story on the inside. This is supposed to be a neutral palette, but there's definitely some pops of color, but it's more on the cool tone side. And I just love the way that she laid this out. I have created so many different fun, beautiful looks with this. I can create everyday beautiful neutral looks with this, but I also love the fact that I could do pops of color as well. And I really do appreciate the fact that Singe Beauty did that, because it just allows me to use this overall as like an everyday palette if I wish to do so, and not just be limited to just neutral or just colorful. I can kind of have a mix of both, but I also love that it's a cool tone palette. Again, you're gonna have those beautiful formula shades in here with the mattes being super pigmented. They blend really easily with no fallout, and then those shimmers are just those long lasting shimmers that I really do appreciate that she did. So coming in at number 19, we do have the the Paisley Hoot palette from Singe Beauty. Coming number 18, we do have the Artistry Cosmetics. This is going to be the Submerge palette. Now this is going to be their version of a mermaid-esque palette. And I do have a soft spot for mermaid palettes. I will say the color story is beautiful. You're going to have those blues, purples, and teals. And there's just something about that shade that I just love so much. I think because I'm kind of wearing on my eyes right now. It's just a really beautiful, fun palette. The mattes in here are gorgeous, but it's those duochromes and multichromes that just really capture my attention when it came to this palette. I love the eye looks with this. I love a good mermaid themed palette with this. And I just feel like Gourmand Girl, I just feel like Artistry Cosmetics did such a beautiful job. Like this shade right here called Submerge. This multichrome going from blue, purple to pink, blue, purple to blue, green, purple is just such a beautiful shade. And I just love that it's not like a flaky foil shade, but it's a beautiful shimmer that just lays down so effortlessly. It's so beautiful. I love their formula so much, and I thought this was such a fun palette. So coming in at number 18, we do have the Artistry Cosmetics. It's going to be the Submerged palette. Coming in at number 17, we do have the Simply Posh. This would be the Gingerbread Bakery palette. Y'all, there's something about this color story that I just get so excited for. I love a good pastel moment, and I feel like you really get that. So I could do like a neutral side if I wish to do so, right? But it's those fun pastel shades. I just think it's so fun. It's so fun to create those looks. I could do a lot with this palette. I could use it as every day. I can use it as pops of colors. I can use it during the winter season. I can use it during spring season. I actually have a lot more uses at this palette than I thought that I was originally going to. And it was just a really fun palette. I loved playing with this one. This one just really inspires me. Every time I see it, I get really giddy. I'm like, ooh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I love when a palette does that for me. And that's exactly what this one did. So coming in at number 17, we do have the Simply Posh Gingerbread Bakery palette. Coming in at number 16, we do have the Fantasy Cosmetica. This is going to be the Monk palette. This palette is absolutely beautiful. I am a little biased because I love a good orange palette. Orange is my absolute favorite color in the world. If you guys hear noise in the background, that's just my dog laying on some wrapping paper. But I absolutely do love a good orange theme palette. There's just something about it that just gets me so excited. I think because I always think of fall, and I feel like you can really see fall in this color story. And fall is my absolute favorite time of year. Even though I love this background so much, fall is still my absolute favorite time of year. And orange is my absolute favorite color. So there's something about this palette that just gets me so excited, so inspired. I've played with this palette so many times this past year. It's not even funny. And I just think it's such an overall beautiful palette. Love the formula, and I just feel like they did such a beautiful job. Like my favorite shade is gonna be the shade right here called How. Oh my god, it's just one of those beautiful multichromes that's like orange, white, gold, yellow. Like it's just, it doesn't pop up right here, but in person it's just so freaking pretty. I love that type of shade. So coming in at number 16, we do have the Monk palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. Coming in at number 15, we do have the Gourmand Girls. This is going to be the Call of the Sirens palette. Again, I have such a soft spot for mermaids. I cannot help it. And this color story is so fun. This reminds me of like jewels, like jewelry and jewels. And like you go into like your mermaid cove and you just see like jewelry hanging down with all the gems that she has stolen from sailors and just found undersea. Like that's just kind of what I get with this palette. I think it's so fun, so unique. I love the blues, the golds, the purples, the pinks. They all just kind of correlate together really nicely, and they just mix and match. And I feel like you can create really fun, beautiful, like mermaid-esque looks with this palette. Love the formula too. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous formula. And I really had so much fun with this collection. So coming in number 15, we do have the Gourmand Girls. This is going to be the Call of the Sirens palette. Coming in at number 14, we do have the Bella Beauté Bar. This is going to be the Dreamscape palette. Now this is supposed to be their Halloween palette this year. And while I will say it doesn't really hit the mark of Halloween, the color story is beautiful. You have those purples, blues, and oranges. Like, it's so pretty. Like, it's such a pretty palette. I loved my eye look. I definitely had some difficulty with some of the deeper shades, but this is such a fun, unique color story. Like, I love this multichrome right here called Parallel Dimension. Like, this is like an Aurora Borealis shade that goes between like orange, blue, pink, purple. Like it's such a pretty look. It's almost like what I have on my eyes right now. It's not what I'm wearing, but it's very, very similar like in terms of the color story. Really love this one a lot. So coming at number 15, we do have the, coming at number 14, we do the Bella Beauté Bar. This is going to be the Dreamscape palette. Coming at number 13, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be the Salem palette right here. First off, this is my number one Halloween palette of the year. This was absolutely incredible. I love the outside packaging. Love that it's the house going into the witches. So beautiful, very Salem-esque. But for me, this is the color story of my dreams. Like this is how I picture a Halloween color palette to be. This is how I picture a Halloween palette to be. Purples, reds, oranges, blue. Purples, reds, oranges, greens. This screams Halloween. This is Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. This is a beautiful Halloween palette. I feel like Nomad really hit the mark this year when it came to their aesthetics. When it came to their theme palettes, I feel like they really did such a beautiful job. And this Halloween palette just screams everything I'm looking for in Halloween. It's number one for a reason. I just really love this color story. I love the eye looks. I just love the concept as a whole. So coming in at number 13, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics Witch Salem City palette. Coming in at number 12, we have my number one Christmas palette of the year, and that's going to be the Day Day Signature. This would be the Festive Elegance palette. Now this one's currently sold out. I really hope she brings it back, but this is everything I'm looking for in terms of a Christmas palette. You have those beautiful greens, reds, and golds. This is the color story of my dream when it comes to Christmas. This is exactly how I picture my Christmas. You know, like I have my Christmas background, but it's like a winter background, but I still picture this color story for Christmas. I love this color story. I get so inspired every single time I see this color story, and every time I see this type of color story, I'm like, Christmas time is here. I get so excited. I get so excited each and every single time. And I just feel that overall, it's a beautiful, beautiful Christmas palette. So that is why at number 12, we do have the Day Day Signature Festival Elegance palette. Whew, guys, I feel like I have been filming this for hours now. Oh my God. I'm like literally going, I'm talking too much. I'm so sorry this is so long because this already feels so long to me and I haven't even edited it yet. Okay, so coming in at number 11, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be Pacific Northwest palette. First off, I love the fact that this is a painting. Absolutely feels like a painting, looks like a painting. It's absolutely beautiful. And for me, the color story is just so gorgeous. I love this color story. I love the greens. I love the blues. And I love a little bit of those cool tone brick reds and greens, the cool tone brick reds in here. It's just a really beautiful palette. I don't know if this screams Pacific Northwest. I've never been there before, but this is such a beautiful palette. I've used it several times since getting it, and I just really was impressed with how gorgeous the color story was, the formula was, the outside packaging was. Just a really overall beautiful palette. And a lot of you guys who live in Pacific Northwest said that this is like on par. Never been, but this is beautiful. It makes me want to go. So coming at number 10, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics Pacific Northwest palette. Or I'm sorry, coming number 11, we do the Pacific Northwest palette from Nomad. Coming in at number 10, we do have the Singe Beauty. This would be the Agate Temptation palette. This palette is gorgeous. First off, the outside packaging is beautiful, but y'all, it's the color story on the inside. I love a good green, golden, orange palette, and I feel like Angelica did such a beautiful job with this. This is like another earthy tone palette in my opinion, but it's also supposed to be like a 70s throwback from what she was going for, and this is just beautiful. I love those greens. I love those brick red. I love those greens. I love the yellows. I love a little bit of the browns in here. It's just a beautiful, beautiful overall like summer aesthetic, summer vibes, and I've really gravitated a lot to this palette. I love the formula, and I really loved the eye looks I created with this one. This is one of my favorite ones she's come out with to date. So coming in number 10, we do have the Agate Temptation palette from Singe Beauty. Coming in at number 9, we do have the Day Day Signature. This is going to be the Broken Jewels palette. This was absolutely so much fun to play with. Mine actually did come in a little broken, but I was able to hopefully put it back together. Now these two shades, like I said, came in broken, but man, was I obsessed with the eye looks that I created with this palette. This one actually traveled to Puerto Rico and back. I don't know why, but it did. It took a little vacation, and I just feel like this was such an overall aesthetically pleasing palette. I feel like this is like a bigger sister to the From the Roots. I love the color story. I love that I can mix and match. I love you could do everything like in quadrants to create really beautiful eye looks. I can do green eye looks with this. I could do blue. I could do everyday. I could do pops of color. Very versatile palette. Love the formula. And this to date is one of my favorite Day Day Signature palettes, and I freaking love this one so much, and I was obsessed with my eye look with this one. So coming in at number 9, we do have the Day Day Signature. This is going to be the Broken Jewels palette. Coming in at number 8, we do have the Gourmand Girls. This is going to be the Mocha Moment palette. This palette is stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning. I've actually traveled with this palette because I feel like it's a beautiful like neutral palette. Even though there's definitely some pops of colors in here, it's just a beautiful like neutral palette. You're going to have those gold shades in here, a little bit of the green shades, even a little like small little purple shade. But for me, it's just an overall aesthetic of this palette. The color story is beautiful, and I love that I could do a neutral one with this, but I could also do a really beautiful colorful eye look with this as well. It's very versatile, and this formula is incredible, and this is one of my favorite Gourmand Girl palettes to date. It is so beautiful. Absolutely so beautiful. I love this one. I used it so much, and I travel with this one. That says a lot. If I'm taking it with me, it means I can get a lot of use out of it. So this one was perfect for me. So coming in at number 8, we do have the Gourmand Girls Mocha Moment palette. Coming in at number 7, this is one of my favorite palettes that this brand has ever come out with, and it's the Tones of Turd palette from Glamlite. Now you guys know that I have tummy issues. I do have my colonoscopy coming up in 2 weeks, and I never felt more seen by a palette. This is a poop theme palette, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Not only is the color stories in here, everything's supposed to represent a poop theme moment, But for me, it's also just like the concept. It's the shade names, it's the shades, it's the way that everything lays out. Like, this is supposed to be an April Fool's joke, and it turned into an actual palette, and I just couldn't be more excited about this. I love the greens. I love the dirty diarrhea greens and yellows. I love the browns. I love that little multi-chrome that's right here. This is beautiful. Everything about this palette screams poop, and I just never felt more seen by a palette in my entire life, and I just feel like she truly did such a phenomenal job with the tones of her. This is one of my favorite palettes that she's ever created. The formula in here is amazing, and this just felt, I just felt so seen with this. And the color story is just a lot of fun to work with. I love those like diarrhea greens and like those mustard yellows and like the doo-doo browns. Like, they're so pretty. So coming in at number 7, we do have the Tones of Turd palette from Glamlite. Coming in at number 6, we do have the Cosmic Beauty. This is going to be the Wonderland palette. Now, this is my number 1 winter palette of the year. This palette is absolutely gorgeous. When I'm thinking of winter, this is exactly what I'm thinking of right here. I love those blues, those purples, those mint greens, the pastel shades. Like, this is everything I'm looking for in a winter palette. It's my number 1 for a reason. This palette was so fun to work with. I loved my eye look that I created with this, and I just had a lot of fun with this palette overall. Really aesthetically pleasing, beautiful palette, and I just feel like Cosmic Brushes really sold me on the brand when I got my palette when I got my hands on this palette earlier this year. I freaking fell in love with them. So coming in at number 6, we do have the Cosmic Beauty. This is going to be the Wonderland palette. Coming in number 5, we do have my favorite palette from Artistry Cosmetics, and it's going to be the Arcana palette right here. First off, I love the dragon and the lady right here. Thanks to my romantasy books, but y'all, it's the color story. I love a good pastel moment. I don't know what it is. It's just so beautiful, so easy to work with. You're gonna have those greens, those purples, those silvers and golds in here. It's just a beautiful overall palette. I loved the formula. This was my favorite palette brand I ever created. The Arcana shade was just my personal favorite. Like, this multi-chrome, freaking stunning. I don't know if it's gonna pop up, but freaking stunning. Loved everything about this palette. I loved everything about this palette. I love the eye look. I love when I can create something that's really colorful but soft at the same time. It's one of my favorite things about this palette is you get those pastel shades, but they're so soft, they're so blendable, they're so pigmented, but they're really beautiful and like elegant at the same time. Love it. It has like a beautiful like fantasy vibe to it, which I also live for. So coming in at number 5, we do have the Artistry Cosmetics. It's going to be the Arcana palette. Coming in at number 4, we do have the Glamlite. It's going to be the Bonfire palette. Now, this is supposed to be like a bonfire, but I also view it as fall. I view it as summer going into fall. That's exactly what I see right here. I see August, September, October to November. That's what I get in here. It's supposed to be a bonfire moment, but I see beautiful fall shades with this palette. I see early November shades of this palette. I see September and August, and I just think it's such a fun palette. I really love the looks I created with this. It's very versatile for me. I can do so much with this palette, and I get so inspired, especially during the fall season. I just freaking lived for this palette so much. I had the best time when I ranked this palette, and I just really love the color story. I love the formula, and I just feel like the Glamlite really just kind of, they really did it with this one. Even though this is meant to be like bonfire, it was like the perfect fall for me. So coming in at number 4, we do have the Glamlite. This is going to be the Bonfire palette. Now, coming number 3, this is actually my number 1 palette earlier this year. For like all the palettes I ranked so far, is my number 1, but it did get knocked down, and it's going to be the Question Beauty Volume 1 Land and Sea palette. This is where I first tried the brand with this palette, and I fell in love with the formula. Not only the mattes so pigmented, they blend like a dream with not that much fallout, but it's the multi-chromes and shimmers in here. They are so beautiful. They're so creamy and buttery. They glide on the lids. They have a great longevity, and I just really loved this color story a lot. These are colors that I typically go for all the time when I want to create really beautiful, fun looks. These are the colors I gravitate to, and I just feel like Question Beauty did such a beautiful job. I cannot wait to see again what this brand creates in the future. I absolutely love the concept. I love the design, and I loved everything about this. So coming in at number 3, we do have the Question Beauty Volume 1 Land and Sea palette. Coming in at number 2, this was actually really hard for me because I love these palettes so much, but I definitely had to pick one over the other, and honestly, I still love this palette so much. I don't want people to think I don't, but coming in number 2 is going to be the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be the Pre-Ski palette. It actually came in number 2 for my winter ranking, and it's number 2 overall because it's absolutely a phenomenal palette. I love the outside packaging, but it's the color story on the inside. The color story on the inside is beautiful. I love those mint shades, the pale pinks, the pale lavenders, the pale blues. It is just so beautiful. It is everything I'm looking for in a winter palette. While I do think the Cosmic Brushes just hits a little bit more winter theme than this one, this is still a beautiful palette nonetheless. I played with this so much in January, so much in February, and I've also played with this a lot in the beginning of this, beginning of the winter season. I just kind of do it off camera when I just want to have fun. This is the palette that I said that was inspiring me whenever I was creating my own winter palette. This was an inspiration, that this was one of the palettes that was absolutely inspiring me. I think Nomad did such a beautiful job. This is one of my favorite palettes they've ever created. It's so beautiful, and I absolutely love this one so much. It was just so hard to pick between 1 and 2, but this is one that just felt just a tad short because number 1 just has a little bit more color. So I'm just like about. So coming in at number 2, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is gonna be the pre-ski palette. Coming in at number 1, it should be no surprise this palette's coming in at number 1 because I said numerous times how much I love this type of theme. But coming in at number 1, we do have the Ocean Jewel palette from Bella Beauté Bar. I absolutely live for this color story. I love the blues, the bright yellows. I love this color story. I love the deep shades, the medium tone shades, and the bright pastel neon shades. This color story screams mermaid. I love combining green, blue, and purple together. There's something about it that has always been my favorite since I was a child. There's something about the colors combined that are just so beautiful, very mermaid-esque. And anytime I see a mermaid-esque palette, I literally get so excited. And this color story just does it for me. I love that you have like the deeper shades, the medium tone, and like the neon shades. The shimmers in here are absolutely beautiful. They blend like a dream. But just those combinations of blue, purple, and like green, it just makes some of my favorite eye looks ever. And I'm still obsessed with I Got Created with this. It's still one of my absolute favorite eye looks. And I just really love this palette. I think that Bella Beauté Bar did such a phenomenal job with this color story, with the formula, and just everything about this is just what I'm looking for in like the number 1 palette of the year. I have gone back to this numerous times, especially during the summer season. I actually took this with me on my cruise to create really fun festive cruise looks, and I cannot get enough of this palette. It is absolutely beautiful. So that is why at number 1 we do have the Bella Beauté Bar Ocean Jewel palette. So, besties, those are all the palettes I've tried this year. Holy shit, I've tried too many freaking palettes. Like, oh my god, I talked for way too long. I started filming this video like 3 hours ago and I'm still filming. So hopefully you guys stuck with me, and I'm so sorry this is long. Maybe next year my list will be a lot shorter. I definitely want to consume less next year. I said that last year and I kind of failed, but I definitely like to consume less. So hopefully I will next year. I'm very happy I had the opportunity to try a majority of these palettes you guys see right here. So I do have codes for a lot of these brands. You guys can check them in the description down below. I didn't really pop them on the screen because I just know that I didn't really pop them on the screen because I'd be popping them for so many palettes. So just know my codes are listed down below. But at the end of the day, I had so much fun trying out these palettes this year. Just because something's at the bottom does not mean it's a bad palette. It just means it's not my personal favorite. But I still enjoy every single palette that I played with. I had a lot of fun, and this was definitely a very good year for palettes. So with that said, guys, that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comments below, what are your top palettes that you guys tried this year? I want to hear from you guys. So with that said, that is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure you guys give this video a cheeky thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already. So I do post 3 to 4 videos every single week. Make sure you guys head over to my other channel, to Art for the Life. You guys get to see my cool, wonderful adventures, my amazing husband, Corey. And as always, the biggest thank you goes to these beautiful, wonderful page members you guys see right here. Thank you guys so much for everything. And to my subscribers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here. Whether you guys like this video, you guys thumbs down this video, you guys subscribed, you guys did not subscribe, either way, thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. So with that said, guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys in the very next video.